Hey guys, my name is Sharad, owner and founder of REsimpli, bringing you another call with Mike Copper on REsimpli case study. Mike, welcome to the call, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing incredible, Sharad. Thanks for having me on today.
Thank you so much for jumping on the call, man. I really appreciate it. Yeah, man, before we get started, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where do you live? What market do you invest in? What kind of investing do you do?
Yeah, so I have been doing this in November of this year, 2024, will be 10 years of real estate investing. Since then, I've done about 1,000 deals. I kind of stopped tracking it after a certain period of time. But essentially, I've probably done almost every area of real estate investing and currently do a lot of the single family ones primarily. But I've been a landlord. I have done flips. I've done wholesales. I've done wholesale. I've done land contract, creative sales. I have invested in an apartment building, but I've never actually done any of that. I just wrote a check to be a part of it, which was fun because that was a nice investment too.
Right.
So yeah, I've kind of done every bit of the single family space, and currently not really a landlord anymore. Essentially, after the government said you didn't have to pay your taxes, I moved more into the creative sale model, utilizing land contracts. That was just a better move for where I live here in Michigan. We invest in Metro Detroit. We don't do anything in the actual city of Detroit. It's a little volatile, and frankly, I don't like the margins, and it is too street by street. However, people do well there that want to spend the time there and know it well. So yeah, we basically invested in 4 counties around here. I think somewhere around 3 to 4 million households as a part of that. So we kind of have a nice little space here. And with the numbers being where they're at, we get pretty good returns, but honestly, we don't have any of the big venture capital things like that or hedge funds coming here because most of our market is somewhere between $50,000 and $150,000 for your first time home buyer. So
I see.
people are getting huge profits. You have to do more on volume on that that front.
Got it. That makes sense, man. And do you mind sharing how many deals are you doing per month or per year? Totally cool if you don't want to.
No, absolutely. Since COVID happened, we did kind of scale things down and do things a little bit differently, which I'm happy about. So we are averaging about 60 to 70 new deals a year lately. Before that, we were doing about 120 a year, so about 10 a month.
Wow.
So we have scaled that down, but by scaling it down, it's almost like a contra thought that most people think is by doing less, we've made more money. Like our profits have gone up, our nets have gone up, our gross has gone up. We've just been a lot more focused and diligent on the stuff that is our sweet spot that works really well for us. And it's less work. There's
I love
a
that,
myth
man.
out there, I think, like you're supposed to work hard. And you know what? I'm working less and I'm making more and I have a lot more,
I love that,
free
man.
time in my life.
I love that. I love that, man. Yeah, it's incredible once you get focused on kind of what your one thing is, how much efficiency you gain, like how much better you get at it, and you realize how much like garbage stuff you were doing, how much money you were leaving on the table by trying to do so many different things. So yeah, man, awesome. Awesome on all the progress. And then even after scaling down, you're still doing like 60, 70 deals a year. That's still like puts you in like top percentile of real estate investors. So that's great, man. How long have you been using REsimpli for?
Man, when did you launch? Because I think it was somewhere around 2020 that we went over from
Yeah,
another platform that I didn't like.
around COVID time. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, like COVID is kind of when we started scaling up.
Yeah, so somewhere early 2020 when we switched because we've done the Podio and the different skins or the different services that sit on top of that, which ends up leading to everyone pointing at everyone else for them not working. When Citrix bought it, it got real bad all of a sudden too. So we've tried that. We had other services, but when we switched to, I really have to credit that a lot to why I feel comfortable doing things this way because REsimpli does, I don't say every single thing under the sun, but it does so much of what we used to do manually automatically or reminds us at the right times in a reliable fashion. Right. There were times when in other programs were like, hey, did this actually go out? Did this actually work? Is this alert going to cop out? Like, so really making that switch has been a big part of getting to where I feel comfortable letting the team just handle it. And I can pop in and look at the overview stuff. And if I want to wheedle down right to a property and exactly what was said when, I can. So that gives me a certain level of comfort that I can go audit whatever I want to audit whenever I want to and trust that the system's doing exactly what it's supposed to be doing.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much. Yeah, that was the pain point we were looking to solve when I started the company was like too many systems out there. And then like, moving from one system to another, like having all these integrations, like I just didn't like the idea. I didn't feel excited about getting up in the morning and doing all these integrations. So what were some of the specific challenges or pain points that you were looking to solve before you made the switch? You were using Podio. I know you were using another platform, but what was like the biggest pain point or challenges that you were facing?
I mean, I'd say one of the biggest ones was what you just mentioned, right? Is it call rail, and is it linked up properly with this? And is the automation background through whatever the Global Flow? Is it going to send out the text messages at the right time? And when it breaks, what was it the code? So having everything basically sit in one CRM, it just released a lot of mind clutter, because now I
Yeah.
don't have to worry about this. It's, is this working? And if there's a problem, which doesn't happen all that often, but let's be realistic, it's a technology.
Yep.
Technologies get upgraded, things break here and there. One person, one team to email or reach out to, and it gets handled. Not,
Yeah.
am I calling that service, and they're going to point at each other
Exactly.
saying the
Yeah.
other one's the one that's wrong, because
Yeah.
no one ever wants to be accountable. It's nice knowing everything's in one place. Everything works, 99% of the time. And when there is an issue, it gets resolved quickly, because, if one person's having it, probably other people are having it. So you got to figure it out for everyone at the
Absolutely.
same time anyway.
Yeah, absolutely, man. That's the thing with technology. It makes it fun, makes it challenging, but it comes with its own sets of, issues also that like if something happens, I mean, there's like when you're trying to do so many things, there's something that's going to break, but we take pride in like getting on top of it. If like Twilio makes a change, then we want to make sure we get updated on our end also. So yeah, absolutely, man. And what specific features or software tools would you say REsimpli has replaced or enhanced within your business that you're doing right now?
The call rail or whatever phone service we happen to be using at the time, the texting is much more reliable on there than any other platform I've had. The automation sequences, right, is it can send an email. I like the fact that you guys have the ringless voicemail drop in there too,
Yeah.
because certain cold sequences, we don't need to waste time calling someone knowing they're not going to answer and leave a voicemail. So having that as part of it, like, it allows us to set up a cadence for depending on which person's where in our pipeline, and their hot, cold, warm, depending on all of that, put them in the right bucket and know that it's going to be happening. You guys have the mail service built into there. I think one of the things I like really the most is the layout. This one actually looks like a nice place to go look at things. Whereas other places you'd have to go through different tabs or go different apps or different modules. Like, I can go in, and if I have to click between Dispo and the lead, that's one click on the same page with all the notes sitting right there, all the calls
Right.
recorded, because that's what we choose to do, all the communications, and being able to easily place everything in like one digestible source is huge. Because at the end of the day, right, if we're running a business, we don't want to have to try and figure out where that crap is hidden. Where
Absolutely,
did I
man.
remember to put it this time?
Yeah, that was one of the three things that was a must-have for us when we started the company. It needed to be simple to use, it needed to be all in, and it needed to track like really good KPI. So yeah, I'm happy to hear that like the simplicity part is adding value. What's your most favorite feature within REsimpli and why?
Oh man, that's changed over time as my roles have changed. Now, I'd say my favorite thing is the KPIs and metric
Right.
tracking, right? What we do on marketing, how many leads came in, which, month. It just makes it a lot easier to have that high level view. And then if something's off on those numbers, then we can dig down. So when I was first in it, I did a lot of the acquisition still, but having the built-in phone system right in the system was huge. Being able to text directly from there in real time was huge. The sequences are very easy to set up and use and are customizable in a way that I really enjoy. It makes it simple. I mean, you've done well with REsimpli, because it is very simple to do most of these things. And I do like one of the changes you make, putting all the settings in one area. Before, it was a little bit of
Yeah.
a where's Waldo hunt, but now you've addressed that issue. And I know you're rolling out even more stuff for the Dispo side. So that is really how comprehensive it is really what I like the most. And I think you did it the smart ways. You kind of built it out a module at a time and made it
Yeah.
work before trying to add the next thing. Because I think that, and I know I pushed you to do things faster, but you did it the right way. Because if you'd have pushed it out sooner and things weren't ready, then I would have been complaining about something
Yeah.
else. So I think you guys were very smart about that, and knowing that you have a bunch of type A business owners that are probably trying to push you to do more and more and more, realizing that, hey, let me nail this first, then I'll do more.
Yeah. Now we have some pretty cool things coming in next like 4 to 6 weeks that I'm super excited about. So for you, you've actually basically like doing half the deals you were doing a couple of years ago, 3, 4 years ago, but you're making more money. I'm curious, like, what is it about your business that's changed where you're doing half the deals and making more money? That's super, super interesting.
I mean, this is going to be counterintuitive again. Is we stopped doing direct mail. direct mail is a behemoth of money and inconsistency, in my opinion. And maybe it's just our market. I know some people clean up with it in other markets, but it's the easiest entry point. It's the most competitive entry point. So we got rid of that. And we started focusing on more high dollar targeting ways, and we focus mostly on opt-in. So radio, PPC, like more of the expensive stuff
Inbound.
that,
Yeah.
someone off the street can't or won't really take that risk on. So we've gone down, but our margins have gone up because one, our credibility is higher when they're seeking us out. It's a different conversation than, hey, why'd you send me this crummy letter? And how much is my house worth? Well, you sent me the like. It's a different conversation. And then I think secondarily, what the market has helped everyone, right? It keeps rising and
Absolutely.
rising and rising. So that's helpful. But having the land contract as an exit strategy, I think, is huge too, because we can take what would have maybe usually been a wholesale or a quick wholesale and can turn into almost a full retail pricing without doing a whole lot of work, because
Absolutely.
we're oftentimes selling to other business owners. And you know this probably more than most, and people watching this probably feel it, is banks don't like lending to business owners, so we don't have W-2s. And we're smart and we write off stuff on our taxes so it doesn't look like we can make any money.
I
So they
know.
want to own their house. And what we try to target is areas that basically where we can sell them on land contract, their whole mortgage essentially is about the same price as a rent in the area.
Right.
So would you rather pay $1,000 a month rent or $1,100 a month and own your place?
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Yeah. No, it's like I've talked to some other investors also, and they're absolutely crushing it with land contract. And I think one of the reasons why you're able to do this is kind of, you mentioned, so you're very smart about that. It's like looking at your numbers. Like, just rather than looking at, hey, I'm spending $100,000 in marketing, I'm making 500,000. Let's look at what's actually making you that 500,000. Is it radio, PPC? Is it direct mail? And then, hey, maybe I don't need to do direct mail. It's actually costing me money to do direct mail. And then it's a process that you have to manage. And you're absolutely right. Your inbound leads coming from radio, PPC, TV, if someone is doing that, it's always going to be more motivated to sell. Then you have the leverage. Hey, you call me. So what is it that you're looking for? So yeah, that's the way to go about it.
The thing that
Yeah.
people don't take into account, and you'd mentioned this, but I could let go or not rehire as people kind of moved on, phone people. You know how
Yeah.
many phone people and calls have to come in when you do a mailer? And
Yep.
some people call and hang up. You spend weeks, months trying to get back
Yeah.
in touch with them, and it was just some kid dialing you because they saw the postcard. Like it removes a lot of wasted energy from what we've
Exactly.
seen.
Exactly. It's not just that. It's like you mentioned, you gain so much efficiency in your business. Like you have a lean business, you're doing less deals, and then you're more energy, you're more focused on every single deal. You look at, hey, how can I really optimize? How can I make it as, profitable as I possibly can? And that's where you start. Like we do about 25, 30 flips a year, but we pick really good ones where we're making at least like 40, 50,000 minimum net profit. We don't look at anything less than that because it's not worth it. I'd rather do quantity over quality. So yeah, absolutely, man.
I'd feel bad if I didn't at least put this out there. A lot of people, when they're looking at online or they're seeing people talk about masterminds, and don't get me wrong, I've gotten a ton of value out of masterminds in these groups and things like that, is I think there's a wrong focus on most of them because they want to sell the big number. I made 5 million gross. Well, what was your net? Is
Oh,
what I
what?
care about.
Oh, dude.
So, like a lot of times people talk about, I did 1,000 deals, like, right? And I'm proud that we've done 1,000 deals over 10 years. But at the end of the day, if I did 500 and I made the same amount of money, I'd be more
Yeah.
proud of that.
Oh, 100%. I always ask, when we talk about KPIs, I always say, would you rather have $1 million business making only 50 to 100,000, or would you rather have $800,000 business you're making 300, 400,000 net profit? Dude, I would much rather focus on my bottom line. How much money do I get to keep? What good does it do if I'm making $1 million and I have only like 50, $70,000 net profit? For me, I look at my net profit percentage. That's the most important number. How much am I getting to keep at the end of the day? I'm not trying to impress someone by doing 50 deals, 100 deals, but I'm not keeping anything. So yeah. Can you share a particular success story or significant business change that you implemented in your business since you started using REsimpli?
Honestly, the consistency of the sequences, like the drip sequences, that
Right.
has kicked up so many old leads. Like I think last week alone, we had 2 leads that we haven't talked to in like probably 2 or 3 years. And they responded to, I don't even know what, one of the text messages, one of the ring
Yeah.
lists. Maybe it was the manual touch we do once a quarter, but it is surprising how effective it is. You never know who or what person it's going to be, but as you run a business long enough, you have a bunch of leads that start to accumulate. And if you can automate the outreach in a professional fashion, right? I think some people go a little crazy heavy with how much they bug people, and then they get, blocked. And especially with the new stuff, what's that crap called? 10 DLLC, where everyone's
Oh
blocked from
yeah,
using their
dude.
phones
Yeah,
nowadays.
A2P10
So
DLC. Yeah.
so being cadence wise in a reasonable place where you're not bugging people has been really helpful to us, because now my team doesn't have to worry about follow-ups unless it's the manual touch that happens once a quarter essentially.
Yeah.
And once it's the cold, I think they might manually reach out every 6 months. So letting the automation handle a lot of the heavy lifting, because some people do respond to text well, and especially if you don't make it super aggressive, like the goal isn't to sell them on everything right now. The goal is to reopen that conversation, because if they're gonna respond to it, that means there's something there that has them interested in talking again. Hey, let's hop on the phone and chat about what's going on. Maybe we can help them more than we could last time. Maybe the
Yeah.
situation's changed. If it keeps going up, if their number hasn't changed, the market might have done the work for us. So
Yeah.
being in touch with these people, especially if we can outsource it to automation,
Oh man,
it's a no-brainer.
100%. Yeah. Yeah, I mean you're so right, man. Like people I feel like tend to get over crazy with how many times they're reaching out to people. If I have a house to sell, like you texting me 5 times a day versus like once a day initially or once a week and then eventually doing once a month. 5 times a day, it's not going to make me, oh, I had forgotten to sell my house. So he reminded me on the fifth tag. That's not going to change anything, but, to each their own. But for us, the way we look at it, we just want to stay on their radar just to have an opportunity when they're ready to sell, that they give us a fair opportunity. That's all we want. We don't want to try to sell them on every single text. We just say, hey, just want to check in if anything has changed. That's it. Not say, oh, we do cash as is. No, I mean, we don't want to do that. And then we've closed on deals like 3-4 years later. The person said, hey, I'm ready to sell now. You never know, man. Like some crazy things happen. Like the person is ready to sell when they're ready to sell. But as long as you stay on their radar, and then you hope that they give you a fair shot to make an offer on the property.
Whoever's watching that is key. We're not trying to sell them. We're trying to be in the mix when they
Yeah.
make that decision. And that's just staying top of mind. And again, not pissing them off.
Yeah. Oh man, that especially with A2P10 DLC, you have like so much at risk. You could get like blocked by carriers. You could like your text messages not going through. Is there anything particular about REsimpli you think that sets it apart from other real estate software that you've used or that you're aware of that are in the market?
It has to have. I've never had a CRM last longer than a year or two. So I've been, I think that's 4 years now. So, I mean, I really think it is. It's everything in one place. It was actually built by someone using it. It's not like one of those people that used to do real estate and then now they just made a tech company and they're still not doing real estate, because the way everyone handles operations, like things change in real estate. And what you used to know from, the 80s when Robert Kiyosaki and all those, like, what's that other dude's name? Carlton Sheets. Like when you have those old guys, we're not, no offense to them at all, but things are different now.
It's a different business model.
And operations change. So having everything under one house where you're not having to worry about all the different programs and are they working together? And when one breaks, like you've got to figure out how to figure it out. That is huge. And it just works so much better across the board. Like everything works. And that's always been the frustration. You never know when something might go out or who to reach out to. And this just simplifies it by having everything in one place. For the majority, it does everything that we need it to do. Whenever there might be an issue, being able to reach out to one source and they're wholly accountable to getting it corrected.
Thank you, man. Thank you. All right. Final question. What would you say to someone who is considering using REsimpli for their real estate investing business?
Do it.
Just do it.
Really do
Yeah.
it. And that would be the simplest way to say it. But really, for all the reasons we've talked about up to this point, is I came from sales before I got into real estate. So I've used CRMs prior to this, and I know what they all look like, or at least a majority of them, right? I've been on Salesforce. I've been on custom built programs and platforms. Like, so what I would say is don't expect anything to be perfect, right? Everybody has their own kind of envisionment of what it should be. However, realizing that no program is ever perfect. Like think of whatever program you love, an app on your phone. Like there's probably something in it that you would tweak if you could.
Absolutely.
So expecting that it's maybe not going to be exactly the way you want it, but realizing it is 90% of the way there on everything, you're light years ahead of everyone else I've seen come to market on anything like this. And you're not built on the backbone of some other thing that could shut down, right? Again, Podio. If they decide, if Citrus goes, yeah, this is a waste of our time and pulls the plug on that thing,
yeah,
how many businesses go out of business?
Exactly, man. Exactly. Yeah. Thank you so much, Mike. I appreciate, man. It was really, really great catching up with you.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks for having me on, Shirai.
Thanks, man.